page panel frame coming at you live. Not really, but
The Batman.
the Batman.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Twilight, Mr. Vampire.
But we're coming with a new Batman interpretation. And what did you think of it, Oscar? What did you think of this new Batman?
I thought the Batman was a good movie. I thought it was a great movie. As a Batman movie, I had some issues with it, but I thought it was a good movie.
I agree. I thought it was a really good movie, and I actually really liked Robert Pattinson as Batman.
You did?
I liked his interpretation. This is, I know there are the jokes out there. This is like goth, like Blink 182, Linkin Park, you know. But this is a goth Batman. This is an emo Batman. This also takes place in modern day. There's a lot of smartphones that are used.
Yeah.
So this is like, oh, I'm Batman. I lost my parents. Yeah, I'm rich, but I live in a depressed society. Juice WRLD is like my favorite artist. You know.
He's SoundCloud Batman. He's like emo SoundCloud Batman, like Kurt Cobain Batman.
Yeah, the eyeliner works too. I mean, it makes sense. Batman
Yeah.
should be wearing eyeliner because you want his like eyes to be black around the edges.
Yeah, so let's talk about Robert Pattinson's rendition of the Batman, because he's got big shoes to fill. He's got Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, all these other Batmen. Does he play... Oh, Ben Affleck, which is probably the worst Batman, in my opinion.
I think it's probably because he didn't get his own solo movie. I think that's one of the big reasons I heard him, because he kind of had the build for it. You know, he was tall.
Yeah.
He was tall, bulky.
But he just didn't bring anything to the role. Anyways, Robert Pattinson. As a Batman, this guy is great. Robert Pattinson's a very versatile actor. Outside of Twilight, he's a good actor, and he does a lot of indie projects, like The Lighthouse. I don't know if you saw that with Willem Dafoe. Great movie. So he brings a lot to the character. A lot of nuances, a lot of more realistic, sort of like as what you'd expect a person that dresses up at night to kind of carry the emotional baggage and the emotional burden of that. I think he does a great job at playing a character like that.
Yeah, you can tell he's like a damaged soul too, and it kind of also his like relationship with Catwoman. You kind of get that whole like vibe of him. And then this also takes place. I think he's been Batman for over a year.
2 years. It's 2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
And this plays a big role into the movie because, I mean, the stunt work and his relationship with the cops, you can tell he's new to this gig, and I really like that part of it. It's not like he's super established like we've seen in other Batman movies.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a new lens to this Batman character that we just haven't seen before.
He's definitely a vigilante. Like, he's definitely like not afraid to cross some lines. In other Batman, like, you know, Batman never kills. Batman never like does anything, you know, like that steps on some lines. Here, like, he breaks people's noses. He, you know, goes a little over the top in some of the violence. But yeah, I think it's because he's such a new Batman that he's just trying to figure out like what his MO is.
Yeah. I guess speaking of violence, I think this movie really could have been rated R.
It could have been. It could have been rated R.
It should have been.
It should have been. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff where it cuts away because it doesn't want to show the violence, and it's like, you made Joker. Like, why can't you make Batman rated R?
Yeah. Also, I feel like, this new Batman movie, it's just very gritty. That's a really good description of this movie, and to make it gritty, I also like to think of Logan. Logan was a very gritty Marvel movie. And I think having just like that added darkness of it, seeing people get like beat up like close to death, like, I mean, you have a lot of dealings with the mob in this movie, so like you should kind of expect it to be gritty and violent like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think rated R would have really pushed the envelope in a lot of the sequences and a lot of the scenes where it could have been more visceral to the audience. But I do understand they have to make money, and in order for them to make money, they have to target a generation of people that don't have to have parents to come to watch the movie.
Yeah.
So we've seen movies pull off rated R: Deadpool, Logan, Joker, and the very, very successful movies. But you know, Batman is more of an established family name where you can't really push the envelope in Batman. That's like saying Superman's going to be rated R, which wouldn't fly with some people. So
yeah.
Let's talk about some of the other characters, some of the supporting cast members.
I do want to talk about one more thing with not being rated R. So we actually watched this movie together, and we had to sit in a theater with I think a full row of like 12 to 13-year-olds.
Yeah,
who are
just making
being, yeah.
noises, like sex noises,
Yeah.
and just like clapping cheek noises whenever
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson got on screen together.
Oh yeah.
Very annoying. If you go to see this in like a high-end theater where kids can't get into.
Yeah.
Because, yeah,
annoying. Look for something with like $15 to $20 tickets, you know?
Yeah,
but,
not $12.
I mean, yeah, my mind was clapping for Zoe, but not like loudly, you know?
No, just like...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely excited in some points of the movies. Anyways, let's talk about some of the other supporting characters. Let's start with Catwoman. Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman compared to Anne Hathaway. What did you think?
So, I mean, they're both hot.
Yeah. That's debatable.
Debatable?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
I don't know. Anne Hathaway just kind of doesn't do anything.
No. Okay. So I think what both movies really nail is putting Catwoman in some tight leather.
Oh my gosh.
Some really tight leather, you know?
I'm talking about the character. I'm not talking about their physical traits. Character.
Oh.
What does she bring to the character? Anne Hathaway brings like the sexy grittiness. Like she's this heist. She pulls off these heists, these diamond heists, where she's like talking to all these rich people and just kind of playing like this elegant sort of like sophisticated businesswoman who's not afraid to get her hands dirty. That's what I remember of Anne Hathaway. But
so what I remember from Anne Hathaway is, well, this kind of applies to both Anne Hathaway and Zoe, is they're both somewhat mysterious, you know. You kind of get thrown into, there's this Catwoman character. She's been doing this for some time now. We don't know like how it started. With Anne Hathaway though, or I guess with both characters, you kind of know their end goal.
See, Anne Hathaway, I feel like was just a rich white woman that just dressed up on the weekends as Catwoman, and she didn't really have depth. She didn't have character behind her. Zoe Kravitz is this broken, just like a lot of these newer movies depict more realistic renditions of people. Like they depict the more realistic side, like the brokenness of all these people. They're not just like these rich white people that decide to dress up on the weekend and take on crime. Like these are broken people with trauma, and I think that really nails the point home with some of these being able to relate to some of these characters.
Yeah, and about these characters being broken, I think we should talk about Gotham as a whole too, because in this movie, I mean Gotham, it's a terrible city.
Yeah, it's broken. The whole city's broken. It just looks like the thing has been through the ringer.
Yeah, it looks like New York City, but there's just crime on every corner.
Yeah, there's
like as many people.
There's graffiti everywhere. The tone of the city. I don't think there was a single scene with daylight. Like I think it was just all nighttime, and I think that just describes Gotham well. It's just a dark, broken, nasty mess, and I think it carries. It serves as a nice backdrop for the entire film. Let's talk about Colin Farrell. Oh, yes, he's in this movie too.
I didn't even know he was in the movie.
I know, like Colin Farrell does an excellent job playing the Penguin.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know it's Colin Farrell, and it's like even looking back at it now, it's like that was Colin Farrell. Oh my gosh. So yeah, but he does play a minor supporting role, not a huge character.
Yeah, and as a whole, I'd say all these villains play a good role. So you have the Penguin, you have Falcone, and then you have
the Riddler.
The Riddler, and so I do think the Riddler was maybe a little, it wasn't a copy. It wasn't that similar, but it gave me it brought back memories of Heath Ledger's Joker. You know, he's this chaotic guy. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's only Batman who can really stop him. Like he's like above the law.
Yeah. And he does do like the videos. Like Heath Ledger's Joker did videos too. He would send them to the press. So there are a lot of similarities. Mm-hmm. And there's like that little craziness to Paul Dano who plays the Riddler. There's like that little edginess and stuff. But he does bring his own self. And Paul Dano literally plays a psychopath in every movie he's in. Like literally, There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
What else is he in? Prisoners.
Prisoners, yeah.
He just has that face where you're like, dude, this guy's creepy.
Yeah.
I would not freaking trust this guy with my kids. Like,
I don't think it's just the face. I think he knows how to add that touch, that acting touch that just makes him seem like an off person.
Yeah, like it's just like this, like something just about him is just off. So yeah, Paul Dano does a great job as the Riddler. Colin Farrell does a great job as a Penguin.
Yeah, two more characters that have very big shoes to fill. You have Alfred.
Yeah.
And you have
Gordon. So what did you think about Andy Serkis's Alfred?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I don't.
It was fine.
Yeah. He didn't play a significant role.
No.
Not too significant role, but for what he did, I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
I don't really have any complaints. He didn't necessarily do anything that wowed me, but I don't have any complaints either.
Yeah, but Michael Caine's Alfred was just like this, like, father figure. Like, you could relate to him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as an audience, like, wow, this guy really cares. Alfred in this movie, Andy Serkis, is more like a dude bro. Like, more like he just serves to say a few lines.
Yeah.
Bring the story along, drive the story, and, you know, there's not really, like, this relational aspect there.
Yeah.
Probably because he's such a new Batman, and all the later Batmans take place, like, while he's more developed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with his Alfred.
I do think Gordon played a great role.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He was involved in a lot of the investigation aspect. And, I mean, a big part of Batman is all the cops are corrupt, except for Gordon. He's, like, the one really good cop.
Mm-hmm.
And so Batman and Gordon have a lot of time in this movie to sort of bounce off each other, because they know they're, like, the only two people they can really trust in this case.
Yeah, I think they do a great job building their trust.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell Batman and Gordon are, like, such a good like, dynamic together. And to be honest with you, if I had to think back, like, I honestly think the actor that played this Gordon is tied with, what is it, Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman, yeah.
Yeah, I would say they're equally as good.
See, that Gary Oldman had 3 movies under his belt, so I would need to see what more he can do. But I mean, as a first movie, that's a great performance. Yeah,
yeah.
Because he played a substantial role in this movie.
Yeah, and then who's Falcone? Is that John Turturro?
Turturro.
Yeah, he's like that. He brought a lot of nuance to the character as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was just like this mobster that could get under your skin. I thought he did an excellent job, and he wasn't even like, I didn't even know he was in the movie until I saw him on screen, because he was not in any trailers or anything. Yeah,
and what he brought to this role, it was almost like Godfather-esque, you know?
Yeah.
Like he was more of like a calm leader, but you could tell he was the top dog.
Yeah. Above the law.
Yeah.
And not like scared to take like any measures necessary, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, you begin to find out a little bit, it's not really a spoiler, but he is involved with a lot of the crime that goes on. Whether he's just a background person or, so it seems like every crime involved, he has like some sort of play in it, and so he's a very strong, just like, presence in this movie.
How would we say this compares to other Batman movies? Like, where does this fall? You know, where does this kind of, between the actors, like, which one is the kind of the which Batman is kind of like the one that stands out the most?
So when it comes to movies, I've only seen the Nolan movies, and I would say,
I don't think Justice League.
Oh, I have seen Ben Affleck, so I definitely think this is a better. It's hands down a better Batman movie than Batman vs Superman. Mm-hmm. And
any of them,
Pattinson,
right?
Yeah, any of those. Pattinson is definitely better than Ben Affleck as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has good potential, better than Christian Bale.
Mm.
I think he has good potential because I think the Dark Knight trilogy, it wasn't just a Christian Bale showcase. It was more just, this is a filmmaking trilogy masterpiece. I don't think it was necessarily like, this is he was a great Batman, but I don't think that's what made the movies stand out as much as they did. And then as for when comparing the Batman movies, I would say The Dark Knight and Batman Begins are like still my top 2 Batman movies. This one, I do think it's technically better than The Dark Knight Rises, but I love that movie. It just has a soft spot for me. So I would put this movie below The Dark Knight Rises in terms of how much I enjoyed it.
Okay, so you'd say Dark Knight Rises, the Batman.
Or Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, and then this.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't like Dark Knight Rises. Batman Begins was a generic movie. The only one I would place above this is Dark Knight. So Dark Knight, the Batman, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, and then all the other Batman movies, only because like I didn't grow up on them, so there's probably a little nostalgia factor with the Christian Bale series. I thought Christian Bale was a great the 3-person Bruce Wayne, right? Because he had the billionaire philanthropist, then he had the Bruce Wayne that is at home with Alfred, and then he had the Bruce Wayne that is Batman. So you've got these 3 kind of characters all in one actor, where Robert Pattinson was not that. He was basically just Robert Pattinson playing Batman the entire time.
You know, that is a good point. I think it's because I do like this emo Batman, so
yeah,
I'm kind of giving him points for that, but he is basically the same character whether he's Batman or not Batman.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely something that Christian Bale did better, and maybe in future Batman movies, maybe he'll have to develop this billionaire facade.
Yeah.
And so he'll have those like additional phases to his character.
We don't really see Bruce Wayne a lot in this movie. We
Yeah.
see him like maybe twice,
Yeah.
really, and then like it's just Batman the other times.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that too. Like you don't have this like Bruce Wayne character. You really just have Batman taking on crime.
Yeah. And then another thing we should talk about is, I guess, the modern state of DC versus Marvel. Because I think this movie does a great job of kind of showing DC's edge at this whole comic book franchise. They're going for a much more realistic, a much more gritty tone to these comic book movies, and this I think is actually like the most realistic and subdued version of a superhero that DC has done. Yeah, it's more like people often describe The Dark Knight as a crime movie with Batman in it. This is the same thing. It's a crime movie with Batman in it, but I'd say Batman is much more of just like a human vigilante rather than a superhero.
Okay. I agree with you. I think DC is on a roll with their dark stuff. I don't think DC should not focus on like their Aquaman and stuff. They should focus on like the dark, like the Joker, which was great. This, which was great. What else? What other DC movies? Like the Zack Snyder cut, which was a more realistic version of Justice League. I gotta focus on that stuff.
Wonder Woman was kind of going in that direction with the first one because it takes place, but still,
the second.
I wouldn't compare it as much to these.
These are more like art housey. These are more just like visceral, gritty. Like this is realistic. You know, it's not really superhero. It's more like person playing superhero.
Yeah.
Where at least like Marvel is like this fantastical adventure. It's like Star Wars, right? That's what Marvel is at this point. It's just like suspend all disbelief. Like this stuff's never gonna happen. It's just all fantastical.
It can be predictable at times because you know there's gonna be some huge villain who's gonna bring a lot of destruction at the end.
Yeah.
You know that's kind of like how what that last act is gonna be. Here you don't really know, like, who's gonna be like the main villain. Like, is it gonna be the Penguin? Is it gonna be Falcone? Is it gonna be the Riddler? Like, where is this all gonna build up to?
Yeah. It really brings like a human aspect to it.
And when it comes to sort of like this art house feel, I guess what did you think about sort of like generally the music and tone of the movie?
The music was great. The soundtrack was great. Definitely Kurt Cobain inspired. Definitely just like grunge.
It also has some classical in there.
Yeah, but like very dark undertones of classical.
Yes. But I do think the classical and opera music they use is done very well. Yeah. Especially their use of Ave Maria. Yeah. It's a light-heartedly sounding song, but it's used in some really dark cases. Yeah. And then, yeah, I don't think the music compares to Nolan's Batman just because you have Hans Zimmer behind the score.
Yeah, but you gotta see.
Yeah.
We gotta let go of Christopher
Yeah, this
Nolan.
This is a different generation. Rendition.
This is a different. But dude, so like whenever somebody brings up Christopher Nolan and what he did to the Batman, like that stuff now to me is kind of cringy. Like those series, they had their own place.
Yeah.
Those were the 2000s, you know, like those were like the superheroes, you know, like that was like the beginning of the superhero era. Like it was this fantastic. It was more of like a. It was a movie. This is more of like a character study of these characters. We're going into a new generation of superhero movies where you really can relate to these characters in a way you couldn't have before. And so Christopher Nolan did great for starting the franchise of superhero movies because before him it was what? Spider-Man and then The Dark Knight. right? They basically launched superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're in this new generation of movies where you really feel the characters in a way that you didn't in Christopher Nolan. So nothing to take away from him, but we got to let that stuff be in the past because they're great movies. But I don't know how they would fly in today's climate. To be honest with you,
I don't know. I think those would still do really well because The Dark Knight's a masterpiece. But I guess you do bring a good point. We shouldn't really be comparing these like that heavily. This is almost like the renaissance of Marvel movies. Or of comic book movies. We've seen so many comic book movies nowadays, so like it's more just how can we like impressionism? How can we like distort it? What else can we do with this genre that isn't just gonna be copy paste conveyor belt?
Yeah, I think DC understands that. I think there's some people at DC that really know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They just gotta stick to that formula, man. The Joker 2's coming out, so that'll be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall it's less of a superhero movie and more of a character study of somebody that dresses up as a vigilante and fights crime. So I like that. I like the vibe and I like the tone of the movie. I wish there was more like sexual stuff with Zoe Kravitz. I wish they developed that stuff more. Like there was
fan service.
Yeah. Some fan service. Like there really was no like sexual appeal in the movie. It was just like action, emotion, and it was just intense, like clenched. There was no like relief of it with like a sexual tension or they tried, but they didn't really go there.
Yeah, there was I wouldn't really say it was tension.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There was a relationship based in there, but it wasn't tension based too much.
I wish that they had made it tension based.
Yeah, that would have
been nice.
I think that would have fit the tone too.
Yeah, it would definitely would have. Because like at some points I felt like, dude, like is Robert Pattinson's Batman, like, is he asexual? Like, does he not feel anything? Because he does a great job of controlling all his emotions, and it's like, dude, is he like
asexual? Is where they just
clone.
They split into two.
No, that's like
Shadow Batman.
That's apoptosis or something, bro. Or is that
Apop-tart?
That's mitosis or something. Asexual is when you just do not reproduce because you don't want to, or you don't need to.
Some people call that depression and shyness, but I guess you could call that asexuality.
China. But anyways,
So should we get into some scores before we get into spoilers?
Scores?
Well, I guess rating out of 10.
Oh yeah, out of 10. I would say this is a 9 out of 10 for me.
I'm very hung between.
You're hung?
Like a horse. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually quite sad. But
you're hung like a lima bean.
Lima beans have their pros and cons.
Yeah, they've got their growing seasons. Only 7 days out of the year,
but I was kind of hung between a 8 and a 9. But I do think I would go with a 9. Where I do think this movie falters, still not getting into spoilers, is the ending of it. I think the last ending the last act and I guess action sequence left a lot to be desired.
Yeah. It was also a little too long. I felt like the third act could have been condensed into like 10 minutes, but they decided to drag it on for 56 minutes.
Yeah, I guess pacing, that's another thing we should talk about. It's nearly a 3-hour movie, and you do feel it at times.
Yeah.
I think other times the movie goes by pretty fast. Like
the first 2 hours,
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, I think the first 2 acts were really good.
The last 56 minutes is just like, dude, okay, why are you doing, like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have a flare?
Okay, I guess we'll get into that now. So there's gonna be a spoiler flag someplace.
You know how to do that.
We'll figure it out.
You have to learn.
Yep.
How to edit.
It's gonna be a late night tonight. Trying to put a text box in this video. So
spoilers now. Boom.
Okay, I guess the one thing we haven't really covered in the spoiler free is this investigation and the Riddler.
Yeah.
I think this is a huge part of the movie that both really works for me, and also I think they could have elevated it so much more and made this movie so stand out. And so what I mean is so you have Batman and Gordon investigating this Riddler, and there are clues being left behind with every murder. The one thing where I think this movie makes some failures is Batman instantly solves a lot of these riddles.
Yeah.
There are some riddles that they think they have a solution to, they continue with it, and then they go back and they find a new solution. I did like that. I liked it because that made me think, oh, like, maybe the Riddler is a step ahead of them. Maybe Batman isn't just like this all-powerful person of knowledge who can solve every riddle. But, yeah, I don't know.
I think this movie was caught in between two genres. It didn't know whether it was a superhero movie or if it was a thriller. And it was just like trying to be a thriller with a superhero backdrop and trying to incorporate elements of superhero movies into it. And if it just stuck with the thriller, just like go for it. Go for the whole thriller thing. Like if David Fincher directed this, he directed Gone Girl, he directed Seven.
Yeah.
Or no, Seven was
Fincher.
Was Fincher, yeah. Like if Fincher directed this, like, man, just have these people dress up as Batman, have Penguin play a character, like have these people still be who they are, but just go for the thriller thing. Matt Reeves played it safe. I think he didn't commit fully to the thriller part. He committed to making a Batman movie that had elements of thriller stuff in it. I just don't think, if he had gone the other way, I think this would have been a much better movie.
Yeah. Also, another thing, you brought up Seven, so I do want to address this. When I heard about this Batman movie, I was trying to stay away from sort of like any spoilers, anything related to it. But I did hear one thing. I heard it kind of has that vibe of Seven, and that's where I think the movie does come short for me a little bit, because I feel like it takes a little bit too much from Seven. Kind of like the Joker was very similar to Taxi Driver, because in Seven, so this is going to be very much Riddler versus John Doe, the killer from Seven. And I'm going to try to not get into any spoilers of Seven, but in Seven and in this movie, we see both killers killing these people who do have some sort of like, they have some flaws to them that they're hiding. So there is a reason behind these kills.
Yeah.
In Seven, you also have these two investigators who are going based off these clues, and it seems like the killer is a step ahead of them always. And then also, I guess this is more just a specific scene, but we have the investigators find the killer's home, look in his notebooks, look at everything he's like been concocting, and then continue their investigation from there. But one thing that I think Seven does better than this movie is the way the killer kills these people. I mean, it's based off the 7 deadly sins. Here, I don't know entirely what the Riddler's intentions were. Like, he's killing these high-profile people that had dirt on themselves. Like, I guess the first guy, he was sleeping with another woman. A lot of these people are corrupt cops, corrupt mayors, politicians. But he seemed... I don't see, like, what that really did for him. Was he just trying to make the world more chaotic? Like, I feel like his end goal in this was... It wasn't really obvious.
I think he was trying to just shed light on it in a way that he knew would be provocative and would get a lot of media coverage. I thought he was playing, like, if you ever seen Saw, some of these like machines and contraptions look like they're straight from Saw.
That is true.
Like with the box that had the rats. Then you had like the thing that exploded that guy's neck. It looked like this guy watched Saw movies and then just made contraptions based off them, which does. Like, he plays a psychopath. Like, it's actually kind of unnerving, the Riddler, because he's, like, in these online forums, with, like, rifles and, like, these people. So it is, like, a little bit... You know what? The Riddler reminds me, like, of a school shooter. Like, the Riddler is basically just, like, a school shooter grown up, ready to take his vengeance on the world because of the inequalities. And it's just like this incel. Basically, the Riddler's an incel that's just mad at the world because he feels sorry for himself and he wants to take revenge. And so he does that because he hides behind a mask because it gives him power, and he hides behind, fear and killing because he feels like he finally is in control. And it's unnerving because a lot of that stuff is happening today, where you have all these people that are performing all these crimes and acts that, it's a little scary, but it brings some realism to the role.
Okay, and so I guess one more thing I wanted to discuss about the Riddler, because I think this was a huge part of his riddles, is the El Rata Alada, rat with wings. And I think there's a lot behind this. I'm not quite sure if I know all the details and nuances to it, but so at first we're told Alata Radada.
Arata Alada.
If you watched our Nightmare Alley review, I can't pronounce Spanish words. Guillermo del Toro. Okay, but El Rata Alada. So at first we think this is the penguin, rat with wings. Instantly I thought it was a bat.
I thought it was a bat too.
Because a bat looks like a rat with wings, but we're told, this could be the penguin. Batman chases the penguin, and then he's convinced it's Falcone. Falcon. That's has wings, so it could be the rat with wings. But then we're almost told that the rat with wings is a bat, like we initially thought, because when they break into the Riddler's house, he has a rat there, and then he has a note for the Batman.
Yeah, in a bat cage.
Yeah,
with a bat.
And so I think this kind of plays into, I don't know, maybe he was trying to send signals to the Batman. I mean, all these messages are written to the Batman. El Rata Alada, he has a bat in his cage, and then once the Riddler gets caught and Batman goes to see him, the Riddler is expecting Batman to be on his side, to be ready to watch this destruction happen. And so I'm kind of wondering, is there something more that the director was trying to get out of this?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Riddler thought that Batman was all going along with the Riddler's plan the whole time. And actually, that's a drawback to the Arkham Knight series, if you guys ever play the video games, because the Riddler's delusional. He thinks the Batman is a part of his plan. He thinks the Batman secretly likes him and secretly is working with him. But no, the Batman is just solving his riddles, and the Riddler believes that setting these letters for Batman is essentially him playing his game with him. But
yeah.
And that just shows how delusional this character is.
Yeah, and I guess you also kind of get that sort of relationship when Batman solves his riddles instantly, because the Riddler he acknowledges that. I remember at one point.
Yeah,
and then he's shocked when Batman isn't catching up with his riddles. He's like, "Oh, you are a step behind."
Yeah, I think the Riddler thought that the Batman knew he was a part of the plan, but Batman thought he was just solving the riddles.
Yeah,
and so it was just this dichotomy of two different characters thinking two different things, which was good. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that the Riddler didn't know that Bruce Wayne was Batman.
Yeah.
There's a point in the film where he basically makes the audience believe that he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
He even says Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne, and then he says something completely unrelated. That's oh, he doesn't know Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah.
It's dude, are you dumb?
Yeah, he's already in a mental asylum, so you can kind of play that off. Oh, Batman can still keep his identity. But also, it would make sense for him to know, because Bruce Wayne is one of the people he's trying to kill. So he definitely did some looking into Bruce Wayne. He was probably trying to sneak up on him.
Yeah.
So he could have actually found that out.
And I'm not sure why he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That part was kind of dumb. But the ending. Let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Who do you think was the person in the other cell with the
Okay.
Riddler?
Yeah, I think that was the Joker.
Yeah.
And I did do some Googling, and people are speculating it's the Joker too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end he starts laughing, like the Joker does. His classic ha ha ha. I mean, I guess that's how everybody laughs, but, and then he also mentions, oh, they're paying me like a clown.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that was the Joker, but I was very disappointed to see that it wasn't Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, what?
It's just a missed opportunity, I think. We've seen this great movie. Joaquin Phoenix is such an established actor.
Yeah.
There's a Joker 2 coming out.
What universe is this taking place in? Is this a different universe than that one? What?
Yeah, and if it's because maybe Joaquin Phoenix doesn't want to make another movie.
No, he is. He's in this Joker 2.
Or maybe he doesn't want to make a third movie, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to take that risk, but you can just not include him in it.
Yeah, right.
You just include a new villain. I mean, this movie has the Riddler.
I thought it was Two-Face.
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was Two-Face when he first came on screen. I had to Google the fact that was that Joker, because he looks like burnt and stuff when they show like a side profile.
Yeah, it's very dark. So
it's like, bro, why is this the Joker? Why does he even look like that when he's in the movie? Like, he looks like not the Joker. He just looks like a man with burn marks. It's like, bro, what? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just think that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that one that kind of messed me up.
Yeah,
it was a little fun.
But I do think we should get into this final act where the Riddler's in prison, and he's gotten all his people on Reddit, Riddler nudes
school shooters.
Oh yeah, riddle me this.
Tickle my pickle.
Tickle my riddle.
Riddle my pickle.
Okay, so we got all these Riddler mock-ups.
People like playing the Riddler.
Cosplay.
Riddler.
We got Riddler
cosplayers.
We got Riddler
cosplayers with rifles.
Yeah, Riddler cosplay. They're all going to kill the mayor, and so
basically perform a massacre on the city.
Yeah,
from the top of a stadium.
Yeah, also flood the city.
Yeah, which is kind of why is a city built around a sea? What?
And why is the sea so much higher than the city?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I really didn't get that. And why are they trying to flood the city? Why does everybody go into an underground stadium to get away from the flood?
And then why are we still watching Batman at the end? We should be calling Aquaman for this.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. So we have, and then we go into Batman and Catwoman fighting these Riddler cosplay.
Yeah.
And the thing, one of our friends mentioned, almost like action for the sake of action.
Yeah.
And then we also have that scene where Catwoman saves Batman, and then he takes some Kool-Aid.
Yeah, he gives himself a nice fucking heroin shot.
No, he gives himself a shot of Kool-Aid and turns into the Kool-Aid man.
He goes, oh, yeah. Dude, he literally just gets a massive hard-on because Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman's getting like pummeled by the cosplayer.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh no, and just injects some fucking Kool-Aid into his leg, and then he goes, oh yeah. And then he gets up and literally almost breaks this dude's face. Like literally pummels this guy's face.
Yeah, and then in order to save some people that are in the water, he decides to jump on an electrical line.
Yeah, because he doesn't want them to be electrocuted. He cuts the line, he gets electrocuted, falls into the thing. And then, like, a second later, he's back out. Also, he gets shot, like, at least 50 times in this movie. At least.
With a shotgun point blank.
Yeah, with a shotgun, with rifles. And this dude just eats bullets. And why don't these villains shoot him in the face? Shoot him in the fucking face. Why are you shooting at his chest? You're point blank. Shoot him in the face.
I mean, he's taking so many bullets, so...
He eats bullets. Yeah, this guy eats bullets. And, like, they do nothing to him. At one point... He, like, parachutes off a building and just fucking, like, face plants and everything, and, like, to a regular person, that would break their entire body. This guy just gets up.
He uses one of those wingsuits, which I like that. That's a good, like, this is more of a realistic,
he wingsuits off the top of what is the Empire State Building and does not nail the landing, and he hits, like, a train track, and he, like, bounces off it, and then, he, like, it's such a hard impact, and then he just gets up.
Yeah.
He gets up.
It's and then also in this end scene, after he cuts this electrical line, he opens up a flare and he saves a couple people behind some rubble. And then he acts like, oh, the whole day, like everything, this was like a successful savior. Yeah. Or like successful mission. Even though the whole city of Gotham is flooded, a ton of people are probably dead. I mean, the whole police system and criminal hierarchy is still in shambles. Like,
that last scene where he's like leading the people with a flare. Mm-hmm. What the hell was that, dude?
Yeah.
Why? What? Whose idea was that, dude? Like, what are you trying to paint him as, like Martin Luther King or something, where he's leading the people to freedom, or like where's he even taking them? He's taking them into more water.
Yeah.
What? The, what the?
Yeah. I was not a fan of that ending. And then I guess.
And then they split up.
Yeah.
Him and Catwoman just split up.
And then another thing is, I didn't feel that much for that connection when they split. Like, it doesn't seem like it...
He didn't even clap, dude. That's the thing. He didn't clap her cheeks.
Yeah.
He kissed her once.
Twice.
Yeah. Like, bro, Gary Vee kissed his dad more than fucking Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz.
I mean, he has those screenshots saved on his contact lens.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You can always go back.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I don't know. It was a good movie. Apart from I would say 20 minutes of the whole movie were unnecessary and bad.
Yeah.
But that's like what?
It was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it dragged on, and like the payoff, it wasn't worth the weight of that dragging.
I would say the first 2 hours make up for the last 50 minutes.
Yeah, it's still a great movie.
Yeah.
A great Batman movie.
It is a great movie.
And there is one more thing I did forget to mention. So I was talking with one of my friends who also watched the movie with us. And another thing, or his critique about the Riddler, that I do think would have elevated this movie a lot, is if those riddles were engaging with the audience, not just sort of spoon-fed. I do think that would add a lot. And kind of the end credits scene, it's supposed to do that in a way, because it links to the Ratalata website, and apparently there are some riddles you can solve. I haven't done it, but
I think if the riddles were like for the audience too. There were some parts in the movie that were really quiet, and you can't even understand what these people are saying, and so that was kind of, the sound mixing could have been better, but maybe it was intentional.
Well,
but anyways, subscribe, comment, like. Comment your credit card info on the bottom. Social security numbers as well. We're just doing it we're gonna send you some t-shirts. Yeah, we promise we're gonna send you merch if you do that. We don't have any merch, but we're gonna send something anyways. Page panel frame.
Weekly videos.
Videos. What's gonna be our next video? What movie's next?
I don't know. You tell us in the comments. What do you guys want to see?
Yeah,
if you're coming back to this channel and watching through the videos, give us some recommendations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we'll give you a cookie and we'll review the movie that you want us to
Let's not make any empty promises.
We'll give you a cookie though.
We'll
think glazed cookie.
We'll think of a glazed cookie. A glazed donut. Let's go off that. All right, page panel frame.